o'clock on the east, 10 o'clock out west, and it is my powerful pleasure to introduce Oakland District 6 Councilmember Loren Taylor. Loren is a nationally recognized community, business, and nonprofit leader who's regularly recruited to solve tough problems for cities, nonprofits, and organizations. He has deep roots in Oakland and a record of bringing people together, building trust, and getting results that make a big difference for diverse communities. Loren has dedicated himself to helping others in Oakland through service with local nonprofits and social justice organizations. He's a proud father, mentor, and PTA president. And it's my pleasure to introduce Councilmember Taylor. How are you?
Hey, doing well. How are you, Zenny?
I'm fantastic. Great to have you here. And at a time that, wow, this pandemic is of biblical proportions, man. How's Oakland dealing with this, and how are you doing, and how's your family doing?
Well, thanks for asking. As far as me and the family, we're doing well. You know, it's we are fortunate to, be in a position where, both my wife and I, we have our jobs. Unfortunately, not all Oaklanders have that situation, and so we have our kids at home, trying to teach them as best we can. Deeply appreciative for the work that our teachers do, and day in and day out in school. And actually, this upcoming week is Teacher Appreciation Week, so wanted to give a shout out to our teachers out there, because we now have a new appreciation for the great work that they do on a regular basis.
You're here.
As far as how the city's dealing with it, obviously there's a lot. We need to be able to address the immediate needs as far as health, because we are in a health epidemic. So make sure that the information's out. We're able to adhere to the best guidance while we also support the health of our community. We've also got to look at the basic needs. We got a whole lot of folks who have basic needs that they're not able to meet, putting food on the table, keeping a roof over their head. So from a legislative standpoint, from a budget standpoint, and just from an orchestration and facilitation standpoint. And then, of course, we got to look at the long-term needs of our residents too, because beyond the immediate impacts of the pandemic, what are the longer-term impacts, the sustainability? How do we make sure that we rebound from this in a way that really sets our community up for success in the long term?
What's the biggest problem that you have to deal with in District 6 through this?
I would say in District 6, we have, you're familiar with District 6, we have a huge, I would say, disparity relative to the folks who live in the hills, the folks who live in the flatlands. The folks who live in the hills are pretty much, they're sheltering in place. They can work from home, that sort of thing. There are some needs that they have, but the primary focus is folks that are most vulnerable, are residents in the flatlands who are, needing just to be able to get food, to be able to get shelter, to be able to make sure they access the healthcare in the way that they need. So that's a big piece. I think the education and the knowledge is really critical too. There's a lot of information coming out. You probably are getting overwhelmed by it. I know I'm getting a lot and trying to give a lot in a digestible way. We've got to make sure that information gets out in a way that's not just digestible, but also compelling in a way that, changes the behavior so folks are actually adhering to the guidance in a safe way. So those are, I guess, a few of the things where I could go deeper. We're working with a number of partners to distribute food, to make sure that we're even the work that has been going on in the district that needs to continue. We've got our frontline healers who are out, community healers, responders, those who are engaged with our most at-risk and most vulnerable community members of the community, violence interrupters, you name it. There's a need to continue the good work that has been going on, but it's just exacerbated by this crisis.
If a person has a need, what number should they call? How should they reach and reach out to you?
Absolutely. So I would say the first step is, as far as the information that's available relative to resources, there is the City of Oakland website for the COVID-19, and I'm actually not remembering that off the top of my head, so I can pull that up. But
I'm getting that for you right now as you talk, so go ahead.
Absolutely. But there's a very comprehensive website where the residents can go to if they need help navigating as a worker, navigating unemployment benefits and how to sign up for those. That's there. As our small businesses, there's a section there for the health related needs and guidance. And then also,
Councilmember,
please.
Sure. If you have them if you go to Google, you can type Oakland COVID-19, and right at the top, the city of Oakland's webpage appears next to the red sign regarding the coronavirus.
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you for that. And in fact, you reminded me, every webpage on the city of Oakland has that banner across the top of it to direct you towards your COVID-19 resources.
Oh, and by the way, if you happen to be watching right now, you can actually click on the link right there in the comments and get to it. So just the little
appreciate that assist, Zenny.
No problem. Go ahead. Let's talk about also the basic problems of money and food. Are you satisfied with the federal government's response to this date?
Oh, clearly the federal government has been lacking. I don't think there's any argument there that we have not had the leadership that we need to and should have had from the Oval Office, from the federal government. The fact that we had our, and one example, our small business assistance loans, where 90% of the dollars didn't even go to the small businesses that were intended to be supported. Let alone you look at how our, disadvantaged minority small businesses have fared in the first couple rounds of the SBA assistance and other grants. So we need to continue to advocate and make sure that those sort of federal programs, as well as the state programs, are really focused in a way that does reach the most vulnerable, those most in need, and that our residents and our businesses are able to take advantage of.
And how about the state level? I know Governor Gavin Newsom's done a great job of looking forward, but is there anything else you'd like to see from the state that maybe isn't quite there yet, or the county for that matter, County of Alameda?
When we look at it, I think everyone has acknowledged, at least those in my circle, and even more broadly acknowledged that, African Americans, we have alarming high health disparities in general. So when you talk about asthma, when you talk about cardiovascular disease, diabetes, you name it, we are at a disadvantage. And those are the exact diseases that put you at greater risk for not being able to survive and come sort of through and exposure to the coronavirus. And so as a result, we need to continue that unique, dedicated focus on those who have the highest disparities, African Americans, Latinos, and in that, in how we create and craft those responses, we need to continue to keep that focus. An example, we have I'm sure you're familiar, the hotels that are being sort of acquired so that we can house our homeless in a way that allows them to socially isolate and sort of distance themselves. Those criteria that we were making sure got incorporated, that is that predisposition to those diseases, which, favor and, hugely impact Black and brown residents. And so we're starting to see the hotels that had been allocated to this need getting filled up, and we're seeing that it's more weighted towards Blacks and Latinos in that effort. So I think that's the example of embedding equity into what we're doing, embedding the racial consciousness into that as well.
How do people get masks if they need them? Because one problem we've had here, particularly among us, is, and I'm proud to say this wasn't a problem this week for the first time, but a lot of us weren't wearing masks. And I mean us, I mean African Americans. And I noted it. And then, of course, in Oakland, as of, I believe, Friday, a week ago plus, Mask Friday, you have to wear a mask out, period, in the story, right?
Yep.
What about those who need masks in Oakland? How do you get them to those folks?
Yeah, you're absolutely right that is something we need to make sure folks are aware of, and folks make sure they have the resources to do that. Fortunately, the executive order from the county public health department was Not that you have to have a special surgical or N95 mask or a specific type. It specified face covering. And so a face covering could be anything from a mask made at home, a homemade mask, could be a t-shirt that has been cut in a way that allows you to cover your nose and your mouth. It could be a scarf. A number of things can be used. So I think we need to, first of all, educate folks about what is required, and that barrier isn't as high. That being said, there are still going to be those who may not have the resources. So there are a number of efforts and campaigns to get masks to folks who are sort of unable to get their own. And so through the city, there are efforts. We have a number of nonprofits that are out there as well. And so that you can find information on the city's website as far as those. You may have seen that I have been out passing out the surgical masks, the procedural masks to folks in East Oakland at various spots where they congregate. We've been making sure that our grocery stores have a stock of them to pass out as well, as opposed to, restricting potential customers from coming in so that they might have a disposable mask. This distribution is more educational than long-term, because we need to get longer-term solutions, not disposable masks that keep getting used and used and used and used, but we need to have fabric, reusable, other masks to comply. And so I just wanted to show you here, I have my own mask. So as an example, this is something that actually an East Oakland resident started to make.
I should have got my mask from downstairs if I had known.
There you go. Yeah. So I've got a great East Oakland resident, Marcus Dyer. He created this for me, only $10, and I got one for each of my family members as well.
You just gave me an idea. I'm gonna try to fashion my cow hat into a mask here.
There's a lot of creative masks.
Way to say go Bears, right?
Yeah, go Bears.
Go Bears. But you're absolutely a lot of creative and fun ways to do it. And also that's how has the community come together on that note? Because we hear a lot about, bad, negative stories, but there are good ones out there, right?
Absolutely. A lot of great stories. East Oakland has been banding together to really help support each other. And I think we actually had an article in the Chronicle a few weeks back highlighting and showcasing some of these efforts. We've got Ali, who's
gotta get them in Oakland News now. Forget the Chronicle.
Yeah, I know. We need a little more coverage from Oakland News now. Absolutely. But yeah,
we're profitable, man. It's coming. I'm proud to say that.
there you go. Well, however we can support that. Absolutely. Cool. So we've got some examples. We got Ali, the owner at ShopRite, one of the 2 grocery stores in District 6. He has distributed produce, water for residents in terms of just a giveaway on a given day. He and they also were distributing some PPE that they were able to acquire, so masks and gloves to community members. We've got the East Oakland Frontline Healers who have come together. This is a group of organizations who have been on the ground for a while, but recognizing the need to make sure that our community, especially in the Flatlands, is able to rebound successfully after this. They're organizing and mobilizing to distribute masks, food, engage with various nonprofits who are sort of on the ground as well. We've got Eat, Play, Learn, the Curry Foundation, Steph and Aisha Curry's foundation. They are working with organizations to ensure that we can pay restaurants to continue to make the meals that they may not currently be in demand, and get those meals out to those most vulnerable and most at need. And so distributing food to those in our community who need it. We've been engaged with the senior centers, and there's a lot of effort at East Oakland Senior Center, at the various senior housing developments to make sure our seniors are getting the resources they need, the support that's needed as well. So there's a ton of examples of folks coming together, and I'm deeply appreciative for everybody who's stepping up to volunteer their time, their resources, their energy to really help out their neighbors, even if they're able to weather the storm and make it through. So we are coming together, and it's impressive.
And in respect for your time, also, did you ever think that we would ever see where we're at right now, and how long do you think this can go on? How can we? What kind of budgetary changes do we need to make as a city, and how is this impacting our city budget? I mean, obviously, there's a property tax issue and everything else, and I believe Councilmember McElhaney is going to have a town hall on that. I believe this
on Monday. Yeah,
Monday,
so
right?
Councilmember
Right.
McElhaney's town hall will be on Monday, and yeah, I mean, first of all, you asked if I ever thought we'd see this. This isn't something that you think about and sort of like, hey, this is how it's gonna manifest. But it is something that we need to always be preparing for, is some sort of disruption, some sort of change in how we support each other through that. The disaster response, emergency preparedness, those exercises that we go through, and a lot of folks roll their eyes and because they're like, oh, we can push it off and push it off. This is exactly why we do those types of scenario planning situations. And so, yeah, I wasn't thinking that in my, as I start my second year in office, that this is something that we'd be dealing with. But that's why we're here, to help make sure that we're responding in a way that is specifically with the needs of the community in mind, and organizing in a way. As far as how the city is being impacted, we've got, I think you probably read the finance report, the fact that we've got $50 to $80 million sort of deficit that we're anticipating in this year's budget. And then we're anticipating an impact in the next year's budget as well, due to the reduction in property taxes, sales taxes, hotel taxes, parking taxes, all of these that are, in decline. And I think the reality is that when we had the recession of 2007, 2008, we could see it coming. We had a longer time to prepare. This really occurred in a matter of a month, that it kind of set in exactly what we're dealing with. So yeah, we've got a lot of tough decisions to make, but we've got to go through it anchored in those values that we have of protecting, supporting those who are most vulnerable, figuring out how we can continue to maintain some of the, as much as possible, of the essential services that we have, the core services that the cities
Momentary
to focus on. Did my picture go out?
Momentarily, it happens. It's more a native to.
Is Zinni, you still there?
I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, let's see.
I'm here.
Can you hear me?
I'm here. Yes, I'm here. Loud and clear. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
You
loud and
can.
clear.
Okay, I can't hear you.
You're here. You're here. Yes, I'm here.
All right.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I cannot hear you yet, though.
Oh, I'm talking. I'm talking.
Okay, I'll keep talking. We'll
see.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah. Keep talking.
Okay.
It's StreamYard.
All right.
Yeah.
So I still can't hear you, Zinni, but
okay. You talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I did want to also emphasize is that while it's great that we're coming together, we did just have the announcement about sheltering in place through the end of May. So that's going to keep that going a little bit longer. So I want to encourage everyone to continue to adhere to the guidance of public health officials while we start to ramp back up. They loosened some of the restrictions on some of the on some of the sheltering in place, and I know that there's an effort by the governor and others to make sure that we are able to open, but do so gradually in a way that doesn't compromise our health. So definitely looking forward to helping to guide our sort of comeback from the more rigid shelter in place. Also recognizing that social distancing is going to be a reality of ours for a while. We've
okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you about their businesses closing.
Zinni, I'm still not able to hear you.
Their number. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? No. Okay.
Let's see.
Because I can hear you. Because I can hear you.
You can hear me, but I can't hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see if I might be able to hear you a different way. Hold on.
Okay, cool. I can hear you.
Let's try it again. Can you?
Loud and clear. I can hear you.
All right.
Yeah.
It's not working here.
Okay.
Let's. I'm gonna see if I can. Maybe if we do connect audio a different way.
I have an idea. I have an idea here. Keep talking. I was gonna say keep talking. Yeah.
Okay.
Keep talking. Yeah. Keep talking.
Here you go. We're gonna try this here.
Keep talking.
Apologies. Okay. Keep talking. All right. I will just keep talking. Since we're live, we've got to keep talking. All right. Got it. So you had asked me, Zinni, about the financial impact. And so I think I lost my lost that train of thought. So as far as the financial impact, we're going to have to make some tough decisions. I do look forward to meeting with the finance committee on Monday to talk through how we might do that. We absolutely need to make sure that we are values-centered, values-focused as we continue along with figuring out those impacts. Hopefully, the recovery will be sooner rather than later, but since we don't have a vaccine, we are going to be social distancing for a while. A vaccine's easily 12 months away. Social distancing and keeping some separation is the best sort of that we have at this point. So we're going to have to adhere. Oakland small businesses can get help. So that's absolutely important. And that's been a focus of mine, is making sure that our businesses are supported. So here in Oakland, our Economic and Workforce Development Department has stepped up in a huge way. They've done a lot of outreach, created a survey, and been actually making personal calls to each of our sort of small businesses that have signed up and completed their survey. That, for those who don't have the information, you can find out on, I think, oaklandbusinesscenter.com is the website for you to get those additional resources. A ton of information that's available, especially in District 6, and I'll focus on what we're doing. We recognize that our small businesses aren't a part of the normal existing infrastructure for small business support, small business resources. And so one primary goal that we've had is making sure that our businesses get plugged in and get connected. An example is how there was a town hall that was done across the city for small businesses. And a number of the businesses that I personally know were not aware of, were not invited to, or didn't know how to plug in. As a result, if you're not already part of that distribution list or plugged in, you're not going to have as quick access to the resources. You're not going to be there as ready in order to move forward.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
So with that, it's important that we not only build our list, our small business resource list, but we also continue to really connect those businesses. So we found a number of partners, some community banks that could really help connect our businesses and process their applications for, say, the Paycheck Protection program that the SBA created, some of the other resources. We've also partnered with some volunteers from UC Berkeley's Business School, Go Bears, from Mills College, some of the other volunteers in the area to actually make personal phone calls to our businesses and support them. Because if they are trying to keep their business going, pivot their business to be more digital, online, they're worrying about all these other aspects of their business, it's a lot harder to fill out these applications, to navigate all of the grants and the loans and everything that's coming forward. And so if we could just bring some resources, that'll help them out a lot. All right. Next question here. Okay. I guess we're going to close out.
Well, this is your platform. You want to talk more, that's great. I just didn't. Can you hear me?
I still can't hear you, but
Oh.
absolutely appreciate this opportunity. I don't know what happened.
That's weird.
Here, we're gonna work on the technology next time for the next
stick around.
conversation.
Stick around.
Absolutely.
Stick around. Right.
I'm
Hey,
sticking around.
Folks, this audio will be available. It's kind of a weird deal, but I want to thank Councilmember for doing this, and I want to invite him back. And subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. So, so there. It's